In 2009, US President Barack Obama paid a historic visit to Ghana. He addressed Africa and the world from the floor of Ghana's parliament and made the point that Africa does not need strong men, but strong institutions. Indeed, our institutional capacity building as a nation has received a shot in the arm with the latest release of the African Capacity Index, ACI, that ranks Ghana as #1 among 42 other African countries over the last 3 years. Whilst this has been achieved through implementation and monitoring of government policies and programs, it appears recent events, especially from the opposition New Patriotic Party, brings us back to the words of Barack Obama: Africa needs strong institutions. Alas, the fallout from Dr. Bawumia's presentation a few days ago have deepened the politicization of our cherished institutions, especially the Ghana Statistical Services, whose integrity was questioned by The Economist. The GSS has come out to set the record straight, as well as the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, that made counter-arguments to the impropriety of Dr. Bawumia's logic. Are these attacks on our institutions of states justified? How do we intend to build the capacity of our state institutions when political parties decide to do what the MPP did a few days ago? With me to do the discussion tonight is Alhaji Halidu Haruna, who works at the Office of the President, and Mr. Samuel George Nate, who is a member of Government Communication. As we look at the topic, politics of convenience. Let me begin with you, Alhaji Halidu Haruna. How safe is it, and how safe is it for political parties to attack independent state institutions just because information that is churned out by these independent state institutions do not favor their interests?
Thank you very much, and good evening to our cherished viewers. Indeed, it's disturbing sometimes for political parties in opposition seems to be interested in attacking state institutions. We all agree that we want to chart the path of multi-party democracy. Now, for us to be able to entrench multi-party democracy, it is important that we have very strong institutions that will be the pillars of that democracy that we are building. Now, of course, if you're a political party seeking for power to come and rule and preside over these institutions, and it seems that you want to run down these institutions, then certainly you have a problem. I recall in 1996, Jerry Rawlings granted an interview to Radio Good, where he indicated that if you are in opposition and you think that you want to take advantage of every situations in this country for the purpose of actually getting advantage in terms of vote, you end up getting the advantage and winning political power. But the situations that you've taken advantage of will come and haunt you in government. And certainly, I think that the MPP is charting a path that is dangerous. I remember when Barack Obama came into this country, when he admonished all of us that we don't need strong men, which is true. We need strong institutions. Today, America is America because at least when things are going wrong, we have institutions of states that are responsible for that particular area. They will not wait for any instruction from any authority. They will just take actions because they have consciously built that institution. And I think that the position of the MPP is quite unfortunate, and especially when they have been in power before and they have ruled and managed these same institutions. Now, it's just an issue of a thief who knows very well how he normally managed to steal. Now, when he's no longer in the position to be able to steal and somebody else is there, he always assumed that you also adopt the same strategy to be stealing. Okay. You understand? But it doesn't necessarily mean that the person who actually replaces him is doing the same things that he was doing at the time that he was there. And I can best liken the MPP as a man, just like a man who has messed up the air and tend to ask what is smelly. That is the kind of situation we find ourselves in.
I see. That's an interesting analogy. Now, let me come back to you, Samuel. You recall that our state institutions have evolved over time. I can remember that the Ghana Police Service used to be a police force. It's evolved into the Ghana Police Service. We used to have the Internal Revenue Service that has evolved into the Ghana Revenue Authority. We used to have the Serious Fraud Office that has evolved into the Economic and Organized Crime Office. And we have a number of these institutions that are evolving over the years. And the basis for the evolution is in order to strengthen these state institutions. Do we have to come to the point that we need to denigrate these state institutions that we have taken time to build? And the records equally shows that these state institutions have evolved over a number of years and times. We need to go back there and denigrate them just because we do not agree with some of the actions that they take in the best interest of the state.
Felix, a very good evening to our viewers, to yourself and Alhaji Haruna. You see, things don't happen in a vacuum. When things happen, you must look at them, especially in politics, you must look at it holistically and from a complete point of view. You don't look at just one side of the coin. Now, to understand what is happening, you must understand the ideology and the culture from which those who are attacking our state institutions come from. They come from a political culture which thrives when institutions of state do not work. The antecedents of the NPP is a culture which has fought against everything which makes Ghana Ghana today. Look, when you talk about Ghana, one of the defining pinnacles of Ghana is Akosombo Dam. They fought against Akosombo Dam. Look, even Akosombo Dam is way too forward. The independence, what makes us Ghana an independent state, they fought against it. They fought against the institution called Ghana. They didn't want Ghana as Ghana. They fought against our independence. They traveled to the Queen. You see, there's nothing wrong with federalism.
Yeah.
But what they were pushing for, they said when they went before the Queen and they were called before the esteemed Privy Council, which was the House of Lords, and Akufo-Addo's antecedents, his uncles, went before the House of Lords of the UK and told the House of Lords that the Ghanaian people were not ready for self-governance. They went before the Congress of the United States and said that Kwame Nkrumah was a saboteur and that Ghana was not ready and prime for independence. They fought against the institution called Ghana itself. They fought against Akosombo Dam. They told the British and Americans not to give us money. And that's when Nkrumah made his very famous statement. I look neither to the east or the west. I look forward. These are the same people who opposed the construction of Tema as an industrial city. They opposed the construction of the Tema motorway. And so, you see, they have fought against everything that makes this country Ghana. And so it is not surprising that today, Dr. Bawumia is picked from political obscurity, made a running mate, and to give him some political metal. The only way the NPP understands is to attack state institutions. And that is what they are doing. Unfortunately, Bawumia is claimed to be an academic, a claim which I take with a pinch of salt. But even if you want to take him as an academic, his claim to academia, the world of academia, is his book he wrote after the last elections, where they lost. And that book is heavily dependent on statistics from the Ghana Statistical Service. And so if he says the Statistical Service does not churn out credible results or statistics, then it means his book is flawed. Then it means his claim to academia is baseless. Then it means Bawumia is a street economist and not an academic. Do you get the point I'm making?
I get it. I get that.
It is clearly just playing into the tradition of the NPP. This is the tradition of the NPP. Fight against institutions. Look, when NACOP, when they denigrated NACOP and brought NACOP down to a non-existent entity, they understaffed NACOP. Are you aware that under the 8 years of the NPP, the highest NACOP ever received was 3% of their annual budget?
Okay.
It was starved. NACOP was starved. When the British government decided that, look, Ghana had become a cocaine coast instead of a gold coast, and they needed to ensure that they stemmed it. And the British government, you see, there's a fallacy out there that Kufuor brought out Operation West Bridge. It was the British government's own initiative that brought about Operation West Bridge. When they brought the dogs and the narcotic sniffing dogs, the day cocaine will pass through the airport, they would tell us that they said the dogs, it was too expensive to feed the dogs.
Yeah, they were eating.
The dogs were eating too much food. The government of Ghana said they could not feed the dogs. And so those dogs had to be sent back to the UK. That is what they do to institutions of state. That is the hallmark of the NPP. Destroy the institutions of state. When institutions are weak, you have strong men. When you have strong men, they pilfer the state coffers. They loot from the state and they walk away. That is what the NPP, that is their talking.
Yeah, let me come to Alhaji. Alhaji, my fears is born out of the fact that by denigrating the state institution, we are one way or the other telling the world that we are dishonest people. we cannot even trust our own independent institutions to bring out figures, credible research work, and then put it out there. So it rather paints the whole entire nation as a nation whose integrity is even on the line as to what people should believe out there. Are my fears, are they justified? Well,
I think that your fears are justified, but I was listening from the angle that George picks the argument from. Certainly, if a party only survives based on weak institutions, you should expect that as a matter of strategy, the party would want to push that angle so that they will bring every institution down to its knees so that they can be able to survive the political terrain. Now, when you have a very strong institutions, what it means is that that party cannot progress. So that they want to progress. So if they want to progress, obviously they have to denigrate a state institution. But you see, I think that we are doing great disservice to this country. We are all citizens of Ghana, irrespective of whether I want power or indeed somebody is in power. What matters is the corporate entity called Ghana. Now, whatever you do, it must be tilted towards the improvement of the situation and environment in Ghana. Now, the MPP doesn't seem to recognize that. And I think that is an unfortunate development. Now, for me, in terms of even leadership, integrity is key. Yeah. And you should be seen to be a very principled and honest person seeking the mandate of the people. Now, I cannot understand, or I will never go to vote for somebody whose integrity is questionable. For instance, why? I am going to entrust the destiny of this country into your hands. And you have the power to be able to make it possible for me to go to school. You have the power to make it possible for me to get electricity. You have the power to ask me to sleep in my room, maybe any time that you want to decide. Now, why would I want to then entrust such kind of huge responsibility in the hands of a group of people whose integrity is questionable? Now, I recall that, and that is why I said that the MPP flag bearer has actually missed a golden opportunity when Joy FM reporter met him to ask him his opinion with respect to the pronouncement by a member of parliament belonging to his party. And he said no, he expects the president to show the way so that they will follow. What it means is that he has receded the leadership responsibility to Professor Mills, which I think that so long as Professor Mills remain in the contest, he will continue to follow. But let me make this point quickly. Professor Mills, when he was contesting as a flag bearer, I recall a leading member of our party issued a statement claiming that the flag bearer of the MPP is not a lawyer.
Yeah, it's a profound, I remember that.
And Professor Mills, in his usual way of demonstrating honesty, came out through his communication director to say, no, I know the man. As far as the profession law is concerned, he is a lawyer. I recall in Central Region, when Professor Mills was introduced by an MC, that, oh, this is a man who has taught many lawyers in this country, including the flag bearer of the MPP. Professor Mills, when he got to his point, his time to speak, he took the mic and said, yes, it's true. I taught many lawyers, but Nana Addo Akufo-Addo is not part of, wasn't part of my students. Clearly, he tells you that this is a very truthful, honest individual. I want power, but I do not believe that somebody must be denigrated before I get power. And that is the level of honesty demonstrated by Professor Mills. Hence, he earned the trust of the people of Ghana. I think that the MPP flag bearer and the supporters could learn from some of these credentials that Professor Mills demonstrated in 2008, which earned him the political power.
Yeah, coming back to you, Samuel, it appears the opposition New Constructive Party is being very adamant to the extent that soon after the lecture, the fallouts began to register. You have the Minister of Finance issue a strong and 8-paged statement to rebut point on point the various issues raised by Dr. Baumia. You have the Ghana Statistical Service itself, through the acting government statistician, also speak to the issues about how selective the entire presentation have been and how their integrity have been brought to question. And then you even have other policy think tanks and analysts question the capabilities and then the truthfulness, the frankness, the honesty of Dr. Bawumia in the claims that he made. But it looks as if the NPP has taken a position to defend whatever Dr. Bawumia said there without even conceding that some of the figures and the issues put out there were misleading.
Well, Felix, before I proceed on that angle, let me just even buttress the point Alaji just made. In the 96 to 2000 parliament, during the Kukumba Nanumba War, Honorable Moses Mabimba, an NDC member of parliament, made a very regrettable statement. I think he said the Nanumbas were like Israelis. The Kukumbas were like Israelis. You kill one, 1,000 will come. Do you know the reaction of the NDC?
No.
The NDC suspended him from the party and suspended him from parliament.
I see.
That was what the NDC did during the Kukumba Nanumba War. Juxtapose that against the NPP carrying Kennedy Japan and giving him a hero's welcome. You have a sitting member of parliament, Honorable Ben Aye, liking Kennedy Japan to Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I heard it on
which is blasphemy. Yeah. And the Christian Council was quiet on that. That a man who calls for ethnic cleansing is likened to Jesus Christ. And our Christian Council was quiet on that. When he was challenged, he said, okay, he's like Nelson Mandela. My goodness.
That was an extreme
you know, that is the mindset of the NPP. Now coming down to this issue, you see, let me explain one thing to you. You have to understand the mindset of the NPP. Okay, when you understand their mindset, you understand how they operate. Okay, and look, the operation is simple. Break down institutions of state. Look, it is not an issue of the NPP sticking to their guns. That look, we stand by what Bawumia was given to read, because I don't still believe Bawumia wrote that speech.
So you believe that it was a prepared
text? That text was prepared for Bawumia to come and read. Okay, posterity would judge the truth and veracity of the statement I'm making. It was prepared for him to read. Okay, it's a Dankwa Institute document.
I see. And
he just came and read it. It was supposed to be a launching ground for him. And you see, the point is, that is the truth they know. He gave you an analogy of a thief. A thief is a thief. He expects everybody to be a thief. A liar is a liar. When you tell a liar the truth, he thinks you are lying. For him, the truth, you see, when you tell a lie repeatedly, it becomes the truth for you. The same way they have always repeated that President Mills said Ghana will be like Kenya. And they have refused to read the text of that statement, which is on the internet. You understand me? They have refused to go down that road. They have refused to do that simply because they want to perpetuate falsehood. The falsehood they know is what they have put out. And I always disagree when commentators say that at the end of the day, commentators say Bawumia put out facts and the ministry is disputing the facts or challenging the facts. Bawumia did not put out facts. Bawumia put out lies. Okay, look, a fact is a truth. A fact is something which is substantial. But when the thing doesn't exist, look, when Bawumia tells you that inflation in this country is in 3 digits, when he actually has not calculated inflation, but has calculated consumer price index. Look, if they want us to go down that road, then consumer price, if they want to call consumer price index inflation, then during the MPP, inflation was in 4 figures. Because I'll give you a clear example. The HIPIC toilet they built. Yeah. Before they came into power, how much was the cost of going to HIPIC toilet? And when they were leaving, how much was it? It had increased from 100 OTDs, which is the unusable 1 peswa coin Kufo minted for us with Bawumia. Bawumia minted at the you know those red coins we can't use that Bawumia printed and caused financial loss to the state. From that to 20 pesos. That is a 3,900% increase. Wow. So if they want us to calculate inflation that way, then they were in 4 figures. A loaf of bread, the price increase in a loaf of bread was 1,900%. Okay. Between 2000 and 2008.
Dr. Bawumia says that he went to Malata and picked up 6 commodities. You see,
Bawumia is being intellectually dishonest. Bawumia has sat at the Bank of Ghana, starting as a senior research assistant and rising through the ranks. That is another issue for another day, how he rose through the ranks to become deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana. He gets there and he's a very key player in the economies of this country, the economic calculations of this country. Throughout the 8-year period of the NPP, the NPP used the same basket which the Ghana Statistical Service is using today under the NDC. It is not a basket peculiar to Ghana. It is an internationally accepted basket. There are indices which you use to calculate internationally. Don't forget, our reports are not just meant to be read by NDC and NPP.
Yeah.
They are read by the World Bank and the IMF.
Yeah, they even depend on
You
those
understand?
figures and statistics
Exactly.
for their
and
policy.
so the 242 items there are not determined by which political party is in power. And so for Bawumia,
cement.
I'm coming to that. For him to pick 6 items instead of 242 shows you that either he was sleeping whilst he was at the Bank of Ghana and didn't know what was going on, or he's chosen to suffer selective amnesia and forget the basket that is used. Now he makes the most basic error in calculating inflation, that cement is never used anywhere in the world, not even in the United States. Cement is never part of the basket for calculating inflation. Yet he adds cement as one of his 5 items. Now the 242 items that are used to calculate inflation are picked from 40 markets from the 10 different regions in this country. You walk to Malata. And when did he go to Malata? That is the question I'm questioning him. When he was in Zimbabwe, he sent his wife to Malata. What is he talking about? Bawumia should come again.
Alhaji, the Executive Director of the Center for Policy Analysis, CEPA, Dr. Joe Abbey, has cautioned that politicians should stay out of trying to politicize state institutions. In fact, if I should read portions of what he said, it says that I'm reading from the Daily Express newspaper, today's edition from the Daily Express newspaper, and then page 2 of the newspaper reads that Dr. Abbey is worried over how politicians in recent times mention some of the country's economic indicators just to win votes, noting that, in my candid opinion, I'm quoting, I think there is the need to reconcile the various expectations of anxiety about what figure the GSS has gathered and able to protect it. GSS does the research and know what the situation is on the ground. However, they should not allow politicians to interpret figures and how just to persuade Ghanaians to win vote, but rather ensure that whatever facts they put in the public domain is not distorted, because if they did, that then their credibility is at stake. And Dr. Abbey goes to say is that we're well respected for his economic analysis. He urged state institutions to take the bull by the horns to ensure that technocrats in state institutions explain the technical issues for people to understand, stressing that we have come to a point where we need the technical people in our state institutions to teach rather than leave their work for political people to interpret. Well, what do you make of that statement?
Well, I think that it's a good call, but Dr. Joe Abbey should have distinguished between the kind of politics that he's making reference to, because indeed our every daily activities, we do politics, but with what kind of politics are we doing? Is it politics that promote development? Is it a kind of negative politics that we engage in with the intention of destroying things that will actually inure to the benefit of the people of Ghana? I think that when he makes that distinction, it will help us. But I would want to presume that he's actually making reference to politics of destruction, where the intention is that we want to create a situation where a particular group of people, a political party, will look bad, especially when we take a particular figures or indicators turned out by the state institution. We want to make sure that we denigrate it to make it possible that a political party that is in charge looks so bad. But you see, the state institution, which is Statistical Service, has the capacity to be able to defend itself. And I agree with Dr. Joe Abbey, because anytime politicians will sit and want to defend such institutions, we create a very wrong impression in the minds of people that we have an interest.
Yeah, and I think it's not even right for politicians.
But the difficulty also is that these indicators that these institutions comes out with, the politicians use them in their daily activities. So it is difficult for you to be able to draw the line that whether whatever pronouncement I make is in defense of the institutions, or probably the intention is to destroy the institution. But I think that looking at what Dr. Bawumia has done and the kind of flurry or the kind of impression created in the minds of the people of this country, describe him as a technocrat. That makes it difficult for us to understand or appreciate what he decided to put out looking at the economy of this country. Now, you take the indices and the things that he came out with. I was excited that the acting government statisticians decided to come out to speak on this matter. Okay. And indeed, it was an unfortunate development yesterday to hear a member of the MPP coming out to say that the finance minister pushed the statistical service to come and address a press conference. This is an institution that the integrity of the institution is questioned by somebody described to be a technocrat. And this institution is responsible for the figures that the gentleman used to create an impression that things that they came out with were not right. And yet you expect that institution to be quiet. And today people are using the pronouncement of Honorable E.T. Mensah, calling for the resource of the institutions as a comparison of what Dr. Bawumia has done. No, Bawumia raised serious questions to do with the integrity of the institutions. And the institutions say, no, my integrity or the institution's integrity is at stake. We are coming out to respond. And I think that they have done a very good job by educating him. And I, even though a layman, but I do know that in economics, we have what we call, if all things, or principle they call all things being equal.
There is variable. Yeah.
Exactly. All things being equal, then A, B, C, D will happen. So it means that there is some recognition of other factors that might cause the distortion of lack of the relationship, lack of relationship of those indicators.
There are other variables.
So if a technocrat could not even appreciate that, clearly it raises serious questions about the expertise.
Okay.
And I think that the people of this country, at any point in time the MPP speaks, they should just take it with pinch of salt, because I do not believe that they have very good intention for this country.
Okay. In the past, we've had some comparisons that have been made. For instance, after the redenomination, when the MPP wants to quote figures about records within the NDC regime, they go for the old figures, the old cities. If you want to quote figures that suits them or within their regime, they go for the new Ghana cities. And then it has happened over, and even it's reflected in Dr. Bawumia's presentation, where he went for the old series before the rebasing and went for the new series before the rebasing to support himself. Dr. Abe, in his argument, he says, and I quote, the GSS, for instance, is not creating statistics for urban dwellers alone, but for the whole country, and should be able to stand by whatever they prepare. He called for a workshop for GSS staff where the technocrats in the organization will be given the opportunity to diagnose the challenges confronting figures and be able to explain any misconception for the public to get the issues straight. Now, coming from this angle, Dr. Joabe's angle, is it the case that there is a gap that needs to be filled by the GSS itself so that people, the public, will understand some of this research work and the figures put out, so that in order to avoid a situation where the figures, the interpretation of same will be left in the hands of politicians, so that they can run along with whatever they choose, which best suits their convenience?
You see, Felix, the problem we have in this country is we want to put the cart before the horse. We're asking our institutions, you see, building institutions. And you mentioned the East African report, the New African magazine. And the reports that where Ghana is ranked as the only country in Africa that has ranked high. Yeah. We are number one out of 42 countries.
We used to be number 5 in 2009.
Yes. Yeah. And we are number 1 in Ghana. We're building our capacities. You see, you build capacity gradually at a steady pace. If you go into the Western world, every end of the month or first week of the next month, what happens is, in the US, for example, the Bureau of Statistics issues unemployment figures, issues employment figures, issues growth rates, inflation figures. These are announced by the Bureau of Statistics.
So everybody knows.
Everybody knows where it's coming from. I get the input of what Dr. Joe is asking is, let us seed the announcements as we have now by the Ministry of Information, of Finance, of our monthly inflation to the people who calculate the inflation, the Ghana Statistical Service. I don't have a problem with that. I think the Ghana Statistical Service can come out every month to tell us this is where inflation has gotten. Look, whether it's the Ghana Statistical Service or the Ministry of Finance, the figures are the figures.
Yeah, but I think you see, the GSS has been doing that for a long time now.
Sure, that's the situation. Yeah. You see, but then the point is, this whole drive that we should turn the whole of Ghana into a huge classroom and start teaching people macroeconomic indices. It doesn't wash. The Ghanaian man, look, the 42-year-old man in my village, in my constituency, in Ningo, in Ahiam to be precise, my village, is not bothered. He is not bothered about inflation or not. He is glad that under the NDC administration, electricity has been extended to Ahiam. Okay. He is glad that pipe-borne water, today, he can get pipe-borne water. He doesn't have to go to the Magbaja River to go and fetch water again. But there is potable drinking water flowing in Ahiam. The man in Walewale, whose child used to go to school under trees, and when it starts raining, the child will have to come and sit at home, is glad that today there is an ultra-modern 6-unit classroom block. He doesn't need to know what you use to calculate CPI and inflation basket. The man who is in Enchi, whose child could not go to school, but today the child can go to school because the father couldn't buy exercise books and a school uniform. But today the child has a free school uniform, courtesy the Better Ghana agenda. The child has free exercise books to study and write in and become a future asset to that family. Doesn't care what Bawumia says about the indices or the real economy of Ghana. That man knows what the real economy of Ghana is. The man whose child today gets a healthier meal because capitation has been increased under the NDC administration knows what the real economy of Ghana is. The man who's the cocoa farmer whose cocoa gets rotting on the farm because the vehicles cannot ply the road and bring it to Takrady port. And today, under the NDC administration, Better Ghana agenda, we have the cocoa roads, 200 million Ghana cedis to construct cocoa roads. And those roads have been opened up. And today his produce doesn't get rotting and he comes. And his revenue, he's getting the reward of his labor. He doesn't work for 4 years to plant cocoa. And when it is ripe, it is left to rotting there. But Atamils has built a road from his farm to the Takrady Harbour for him, knows that the economy of Ghana is better. Okay. The man, one last one, the man whose child was in the university and was struggling to do assignments and project work, and today has a Better Ghana laptop, or the man whose child is a beneficiary of the master's scheme and is on scholarship here in Ghana, not because he knows any big man, but because his child applied and the child got it, knows the real economy of Ghana. Okay. Those who were driving Lexuses and Range Rovers in this country, thanks to cocaine, and today, NACOB is doing his work, they know the real economy of Ghana.
Let me come to Alhaji. Alhaji, one of the arguments had been that, Bawumia's argument has been that President Mills is one of the most fortunate President Ghana had. We have borrowed money to the extent that he attempted mentioning the entire national debt, when the records actually shows that in 2009, when the president took over, he took over with a debt of 38 trillion cedis. And then in terms of cash basis, it was 12.4% to the GDP, and in terms of commitment basis, 22.2% of the GDP. And when you put, and this is also against the background that the HIPIC initiative actually forgave Ghana a debt of about 4.2 billion cedis. So when you put
off our entire
exactly, so when you put all these two together, and then you look at what the MPP had been able to achieve within their first 4 years in office, and then what the Better Ghana has been able to achieve with all the loans, because with all the loans that we got, is it a justifiable logic? Can we justify that logic that President Mills actually borrowed money and he was doing nothing with it?
I think that, seriously speaking, I normally, when I sit and listen to the MPP, I get saddened by the fact that this is a political party accepted under our laws. Seriously speaking, because to be honest with you, political parties should be or must be interested in ensuring that at least they give constructive criticism to the governing party, so that at the end of the day we will be able to have an environment conducive for development, so that at the end of the day it will not be an NDC person who will benefit as against the MPP, but all of us as citizens of Ghana. Now, Bawumia, I'm sure he knows that borrowing itself is not a bad thing. But the area where those monies are going to be invested is the most important areas that he should be looking at. Bawumia would have been right if he had told us that the money taken by Professor Mills' government had not been channeled in a productive area. Then I will agree with him. Okay. But you see, the situation is such that when the Green Book Part 2 came out, they had opportunity of going through the Green Book, and they were frightened by the extent of achievement of the Professor Mills' government. As a result of that, it pushed Canada, Japan, thinking that the only way out is to declare war. Because if they are going to actually engage us based on our records in governance, it will be difficult for them to be able to actually tell the people of this country any story. Hence, his declaration of war. Now, today, as we speak now, just let us take the monies they claim. And they have members of parliament in parliament. And I'm sure every loan secured by this government, they have taken part in the approval, in the discussion. And they are aware of the areas where those monies intended to actually be invested. For instance, the $3 billion from China. The $1 billion that came in, that was approved by China for us to actually do an expansion of the gas project. Clearly, that project will pay itself. Exactly. It's just like the Akosobo dump that today, had it not been the resistance and the adamant posture of Dr. Nkrumah, if Dr. Nkrumah were to have listened to the MPP tradition then, we wouldn't have today be enjoying the Akosobo. So therefore, I think that is important. And history has taught us, if we really want to know who this political party is or who they are, it is important for us to go back to the Nkrumah's regime, the kind of attack, the kind of allegations made against the government of Dr. Nkrumah, whether today they have been able to proved single one of any of the allegations that they have made against Dr. Nkrumah. So it's important that we should look at them, even though there are certain issues they raise. When you sit critically, it helps us to deepen the democracy that we have. But I think that they don't deserve to actually take the leadership of this country.
Okay, we go for another short break, and when we come back, the discussion continues on the politics of convenience with Alhaji Halidu Haruna and Samuel George Nete. We'll be back shortly.
On PM Express, more issues, more analysis, more expert views, more expose. Remember, it's at 9 p.m. every weeknight, exclusively on the Joy News channel.
News File. Every Saturday, we will examine the documents.
20th October 2010, September 2005, 1946.
What is the amount of money that you've committed to it? Let's talk with facts.
Electrifying drama.
That's okay.
Because you are losing the argument.
Single spinning was a difficult thing to implement. If it had been easy, I'm sure the MPP would have implemented it.
So this is going to affect the happiness in the Ghanaian society.
The news-making soundbites.
I haven't said judges are corrupt. I said I believe that there is corruption in the judiciary.
The architects of June 4, who sought to restore and entrench the principles of probity and accountability, betrayed those principles of probity and accountability.
Participate in debating the week's headline stories.
Who is going to form the party for him? The Ahoy brothers, the Chikates, the Tupi Kwachis.
The Rawlings effect on the NDC, if I'm not escalating it, is almost akin to the Fidel Castro factor in Cuba.
If the president's competence is being brought into question, we are either contributing to that incompetence or to his competence as ministers of state. So our credibility is on the line.
We tend to forget that the MPP and the NDC is made up of Ghanaians who think and act alike.
On radio, online, and TV, join me on Newsfile from 9 a.m. to 12 noon on the Joy News channel, only on Multi TV.
Yeah, welcome back, viewers. And then at this moment, I'll open the phone lines for our viewers to join us. And as I keep saying that, please, let's make the discussion very civil, and then let's avoid any tribal or religious undertones in our discussion. You can call us now on 0302-211-701 or 0302-211-704. So the phone lines are now open. And then back to you, Samuel. The criticism had been from Baumia is that we've taken so much loans and there's nothing to show for it. Is that the case?
You see, I always say that you don't speak in a vacuum in politics. You do comparisons in politics. Today, They are telling us that we are taking loans and they don't know what we're using the loans for. Well, let me just make Ghanaians aware that the 750 million euro bond they went for, they took a euro bond at a very high interest rate of 8% and a short repayment time of 10%.
Wow.
You do that when you have a high yield investment you want to make, something like the gas plant, which we know that we have taken 1 billion for. That gas plant will repay that 1 billion in 4 years.
Yeah.
You are free. Today, in servicing the loan, apart from the 7...
I understand we have a first caller on the line. Hello?
Hello, yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, my brother. Your name and where you're from?
Yeah, my name is Ismail, man. I'm calling from Sosala West.
Okay.
Father, I just want to say thank you for the good work you people are doing for Mother Ghana. The MPP have already sent in there, and they know that they are not having any good message.
Okay.
And we will continue to urge people to continue doing the good work that you are doing for us.
Okay.
In fact, example, come to my constituency and see what is happening there. We are having a secondary school as a modern one.
Oh, I see.
Which we have never dreamed of before.
Okay, that's impressive.
It's not only a secondary school. A lot of things are happening.
Okay.
And whether economy or no economy, we believe what we need, we have gotten it, and we will vote based on what they are giving us.
Okay.
Even if yes, we will vote
okay.
based on that.
In fact,
So
I'm impressed by your last statement.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm impressed by you say whether economy or no economy, you are seeing what is happening in your community,
Exactly.
and then you are very much excited.
Yes, in fact, we are happy.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Sure. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Sure. Okay. Let's keep working for the better Ghana agenda. Yeah. Let me come back to you. Yeah, you are making a submission.
They took $750 million, and instead of using it for a loan,
let me break you again. We have another caller. Let me pick this one. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Good evening, Felix.
Yeah. Good evening, my brother. Your contribution.
Oko speaking.
Oko.
Congratulations, colleagues.
Okay.
Yeah. Felix, how is life?
Oh, very well.
Yes, congratulations again.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Tell Mr. What is the name? The one beside you. I've forgotten his name.
Alhaji or Samuel?
Not Alhaji, the other one.
Yes, Samuel.
Oh, he's brave.
Okay.
He's very, very brave. Look, we are going to win hands down again.
Okay. All
Mark
right.
it on the wall.
Okay.
Upon whatever they are saying. But I want you to tell this woman, you have to sit rolling down.
Okay, all right. I think that discussion, that discussion is not what we're discussing today. And at the right time, we'll come to that topic if it's really necessary. So I say thank you so much, Oko, for the call. And then let me come back.
Yes, you see, they took $750 million. Today, the Ghana government, apart from having to pay the $750 million back, has to pay an interest of $647 million.
Wow.
Over the
That's almost twice the loan taken.
Yes. And that is how much we have to
let me pick Issa. Hello, Issa.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening, Issa. Your comment.
Good evening. This is Issa Kantajero calling from Wa.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say a very good evening to you and your panelists for the wonderful work that you are doing. Indeed, we, the Upper Westerners, are very much happy with the way President Mills is ruling this country.
Okay.
But you see, I don't think it is negative propaganda that will bring the NPP to power. If we come to Upper West and you see the sort of massive infrastructural development that is going on, it is a clear manifestation that NDC will surely win the 2012 election. So based on that, NPP are now doing everything, preparing the ground to reject the election.
I see.
But we are saying that, inshallah, God is the ultimate. God will let President Mills win the 2012 election.
Okay, all right.
But a lot is happening.
Okay.
Go come to my region and see what is happening there. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Issa, for that call. Yeah, back to Samuel.
Yes. You see, the point I'm making is that when you look at the loans the NDC has taken, today, you can look at the National Emergency Center. You can look at 160 ambulances that have been bought. You can look at the retooling of the fire service. Since Kwame Nkrumah's time, we haven't retooled our fire service. Look at the kind of fire tenders that have been bought into this country. And they tell us they don't know. Look at the combined harvesters that have been bought for our rice farmers. Look at the irrigation projects which have sprung up in the three northern regions.
We have 4 ships for the Navy.
Look at the 4 ships for the Navy. Actually, a new one has just been acquired to become 5.
Okay.
That one is even bigger.
Okay, let me pick Aziz. Hello, Aziz.
Yeah, this is Aziz Zonla.
Okay. Yeah, good evening, Aziz.
Thank you very much, Felix. In fact, this is your guy, Aziz.
Okay.
You know what, Mr. Felix? After the program, in President North,
he has won in advance.
Okay, I hear you.
Because the unprecedented work going on in the country will make Ghanaians retain his power. You see, people are refusing to understand. If you come to war here, the Upper West Region, 5 polyclinic, it's unprecedented and it's a fact. Come to our communities, especially let me just go to my World East constituency because Mr. Kantajiri he have brought out some of the projects in the region. But let me go to my district, which is the World East district. Mr. Fele, if you go there currently, we are having a complex secondary school being built there currently as we are speaking.
I see.
No community in that place having enjoyed any project.
Okay.
The rural education, 53 communities have to enjoy this rural education. If you then go around all over the country, people are appreciating what President Mills is doing. And come December 7th, Ghanaians will retain him and reject the all that people.
Okay,
and even reject them more. We don't need war in our country. We need peace. So the NPP should go and sleep.
Okay, all right. Thank you, my brother. Okay, thank you very much for the education that you're giving us. Yeah, Samuel. Yes, it looks like the callers are now giving us testimonies of what is happening all over the place.
This is a government that is working, and that is what I just told you. That we don't care. Ghanaians don't care about the indices. They want to see what is happening in their lives. They want to see
I have another caller from Akosombo. You mentioned Akosombo, so we have another caller tonight. We're having a lot of callers. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Evening.
Yeah, your comments, please.
Yes, thanks for the good work you are doing. The massive development that is going on in every district in this country, if some people chose not to say it and recognize it, let's leave them. The time will come and the people who are feeling this development will talk.
Okay.
So if people choose not to see it, fine, let's leave them. And let them do their propaganda.
Okay. In your community, if you can tell us about 1 or 2 projects that are happening, we'll be very grateful. Hello, I think we've lost you. Yeah, hello. I was asking if you can just tell us 1 or 2 projects that are happening where you are in your community. We'll be very grateful.
Yeah, in my district.
Yeah.
I've gone to some communities.
Okay.
Due to the nature of my work. And I've seen school buildings, new school buildings being put up. Water projects all over the place. I've seen it physically.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, Alhaji, let me just come back to you briefly. It looks like your callers are impressed about what President Mills has been doing so far.
Certainly there's a saying by a musician that he who feels it knows it.
Okay.
And
that's Bob Marley?
Yes, Bob Marley. And there are the people who are living within the various communities where projects are being ongoing. So the point is that we will come and re-echo it. And you have a situation where the MPP is in the habit of saying that we are doing propaganda. But little did they know that propaganda itself is not a bad thing. You are spreading the good things that you have done. And you are telling the people that I have done A, B, C, D. And this A, B, C, D can be located in these communities. And the people living there are now attesting to the things that we are telling them.
They can see the things.
Exactly. So therefore, I'm saying that, look, politics is not about how strong you can lie, how you can
how loud you can be.
How loud you can be. And I believe strongly that the MPP themselves knows the kind of achievement this government has achieved. And therefore, they are frightened by that achievement. And therefore, they want to use Buga Buga, Takashi.
Which one is that Takashi? Which one is the Buga Buga? Are you referring to the all die,
kind of things? And they have to actually be able to invoke the ethnic spirit, so that at least they incite their people against the result. And I agree with one caller who is saying that they are only preparing the grounds to reject the results.
Okay, let me come back to Samuel. Yeah, Samuel. We have less than 2 minutes.
Yes, I'll tell you one thing. The good people of Ghana know what is going on.
Okay.
In Akufo-Addo's own hometown, Chebi, where he was MP and minister, the hospital in that community, if not for President Mills, had broken down. He didn't do anything for his community. President Mills has restored that community hospital. In Baumia's own hometown, NDC 1 under Jerry Rawlings built the Mampusi clinic there.
Okay.
NDC 2 has added a Janga Polyclinic.
The Janga Polyclinic?
Yes, in his village.
Okay.
In the 8 years of the NPP, he should tell me where two blocks just 2 blocks were joined together.
Maybe
with water.
if the IFC and the CNTC like
that is the point.
Saloon loans had come through, maybe they might have used
you
it
talk
for.
about loans where someone went to sign, a home minister of state went to sign a contract in German, and when he was asked, he said it was in German. He didn't know, but he had committed Ghana to it. You had people going to take loans, and when you call the name on the loan, the due diligence, national security, and all of it, the state apparatus could do. He took Radio Gold to call and find out that it was a hair salon. And that is what they want to compare themselves to, the good professor. It is not possible. People are seeing the work.
You see, you just add, what message do you have for the good people of Ghana on this point?
The good people,
yeah.
Look, President Kufuor's own words, she was sitting nemo na fatuaba.
Okay.
They should look at the school buildings that are coming up in their buildings. Look at the communities where there was no electricity, and today there are corn mills and barbering salons and hairdressing salons which are employing thousands of youths. They should look at that. They should look at their children who could not go to school because they didn't have uniform, and today they are having uniforms. They should look at their schools in their communities which were not captured under the school feeding program, and today are captured under the school feeding program.
Let me pick Alhaji briefly.
Well, I think that politics of convenience is not something that we should encourage. Yeah. And we can only discourage that when we citizens of this country will be bold to tell them that no, this is unacceptable. And I think that one thing that we must also understand and appreciate as far as this government is concerned is the fact that the transparency within the government. Because this is a government that entered into an agreement with a company. And there was problems. The government came out to explain to the people with respect to the XDS. Yeah. We had a government that went to seek for a loan, CNTCI. It never materialized. They have not even respect for the people of this country to come and explain why they could not actually be able to secure that. They lied to the people of this country. Okay. So please, the people of this country, Ghana need Professor Mills again. So come December 7th, when you get to the poll, don't look at any face.
They should look for the
They
prof.
should look for the prof face and then endorse him.
Okay, on that note, let me say thank you to my guest.
Hey,
I like that. Let me say thank you to my guest, Samuel George Nete.